Take my hand, yeah, Lord.
Hey, I posted recently about how surreal it is that I'm working on this project with RuPaul, and a question was asked: what was it like recording with him, and did I get starstruck? The answer is no. I did not geek out and get starstruck when I flew to LA to record Ru, because basically I've known Ru for about 20 years now, and that familiarity normalizes the experience. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still surreal, and every once in a while I pinch myself and go like, is this really happening? But having known Ru and Adrian and all the cast prior to getting into the recording booth helps me keep a professional head about the process. Additionally, I grew up with proximity to celebrities. My dad, Yehudah Husband, who was the first Black animator for Walt Disney Feature Animation, took us to the studio a lot when my siblings and I were growing up, like especially in the summer when we were out of school. And so we practically grew up at the studio. And in our younger years, the animation studio was on the same lot as the live action lot. And so it was not uncommon to run into celebrities on campus, or in the commissary when we were having lunch, or even at Disney movie premieres that we would go to with our parents. So from a very young age, I learned to comport myself around celebrities. I was just recently at the D23 event in Anaheim, and I got to go backstage in the green room with my father as we waited for the panel about his new Disney Plus documentary. And I was just, backstage chilling and talking with all these like animation legends and heavyweights: Marlon West, Bruce Smith, Floyd Norman. I literally had this extensive conversation, pretty deep, with Phil Morris, who is amazing, by the way. And while these are literally my heroes and literally animation royalty, all of them, and even though I get what a privilege it is to have proximity to them, but it's just the way that I was raised that helped me comport myself with them. And it's the same thing with Ru and Adrian and the others. I mean, I've literally been directing celebrity voice talent my entire career. My first director job out of college had me voice directing Cheech Marin and Cyndi Lauper for a video game, and I was animation directing them. In my career since, I've voice directed Tom Kenny, Jasmine Guy, Donnie McClurkin, RuPaul, Adrian Seymour, really immensely famous people. But when it comes to doing my job as a director, you just have to put the fan in check and be professional. I say that though there's this one time when that went completely out the window, and it was really a defining moment in my career. For my film, Kasha and the Zulu King, that I wrote and produced for BET, I had the profound privilege of casting Kenny Leon as the titular character Kasha. Now, I have to set this up by saying I worshipped and idolized, as much as a God-fearing person dares idolize a human being, I idolized Kenny Leon. Kenny Leon is this amazing award-winning director, and I have literally wanted to be Kenny Leon when I grow up for as long as I can remember. And so now I had this opportunity to have my idol voice the lead character in my animated film. So the night before the recording session, I was just like freaking out. Not just because I was going to, to meet and work with this incredibly talented person, but I kind of started getting in my head about it. I was like, how do I direct one of the greatest directors in the world? I let this thought like seep in, and it just ran amok all night. I didn't sleep. I was both excited, but more so freaked out about how I was supposed to offer any kind of creative guidance to a person like this. I thought, he's such a great director. How can I direct him? How can I offer any feedback on anything, any kind of acting choice he makes? Isn't he making them out of his vast knowledge of directing actors? How can I contribute to this process and not come off as sophomoric or insufficient? I was drowning in feelings of inadequacy and imposter syndrome. So then comes the morning of the recording session, and Mr. Leon gets to the studio. People are taking pictures, and there's a bit of a fuss, and then And then we get into the studio and we get his levels, and I do a quick spiel about the premise of the film and what motivates his character Kasha. And then we start. The first question he has is, what do you want Kasha to sound like? And I was like, whatever you come up with, I'm sure I'll love. And he's like, okay, he's a Zulu kid. Do you want me to do an accent? I prepared an accent. And I'm like, oh, wonderful. That'd be great. So he does, takes of the first line. And in all honesty, I didn't think that the accent was working yet. And I felt that he probably needed to pitch up his voice, to be this 16-year-old kid that he was portraying. But what did I say as a director in the booth? I said, oh, that's amazing. Let's do another line. And he kind of looked at me sideways and was like, you don't want me to do it again for safety? Nothing? I was like, oh, if you want to do it again. He's like, if you're happy, I'm happy. He could tell something was up, right? Okay, so this was a hot mess, and this went on for a few more lines. I wasn't giving him any substantive feedback, and I was only doing one take of anything. Finally, after one line, he was like, okay, how is this feeling? What are you thinking? I feel like you're hesitating for some reason. So I was like, okay, all right, let me come clean. I was like, Mr. Leon, in all honesty, I don't know how to act right now. I'm a huge uber fan of yours. I idolize you. I feel like that's getting in the way of me being able to work objectively right now. I mean, you're Kenny Leon. I literally dream of becoming like you someday. How in the world can I direct such an accomplished, talented, incredible director? Kenny Leon looked at me through the booth. He took his headset off. He looked dead at me, and calmly but resolutely he said, if you're going to direct me, then direct me. I snapped right into professional mode. Enough said. It became clear to me that all of this, silly fawning over this man and drowning in awe and fanboying was not only unprofessional, it was wasting the time of somebody very busy who definitely did not have time for this kind of. I pulled myself together instantly, director mode. I gave him direction. We tweaked his pitch, and we tweaked his accent, and did as many takes as needed for a really fun, dynamic, nuanced performance. And he did such a wonderful job. We did it together. And I'll never forget that experience. And I'm so happy for the character that came out of that session and made it into the film, a film that earned us an NAACP Image Award. But I learned that day. And I have never had a problem focusing and doing my job as a director, regardless of who is in the booth ever since. That's a lie. Now, one problem I do still have in the booth, especially working on RuPaul Presents How We Got Over, is laughing too much. There was not one recording session for How We Got Over where I was not, at some point, literally rolling on the floor laughing at the lines being laid down. And that goes for Rue's session, for Adrian's session, Bartiz, especially for Renee's session, the one who plays Margot. Lord, even in my own recording session, I was rolling on the ground. Tim and I were in the booth dying. We laugh a lot in these episodes of RuPaul Presents How We Got Over. So please come visit us on Patreon and let's have some fun together.
Yeah, Lord, take my hand. Yeah, Lord, take my hand. Yeah, Lord, take my hand. Yeah, Lord, take my hand.